What up YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today guys, I'm bringing you my top list of the tools that you have to install, especially if you just bought a new computer or you made a fresh new install of Windows. So to get off first with the list, we have HW Monitor. Now, HW Monitor is a hardware monitoring tool that provides an in-depth look into your system's vital signs, metrics like temperature, voltages, for all kind of components, CPU, GPU, motherboard, RAM, storage, etc, etc. Now the pros of HW Monitor is it supports real-time monitoring for immediate insights. It supports a wide range of sensors for extensive hardware compatibility, and it's lightweight and doesn't consume significant system resources. Now the cons is the user interface is a little bit too advanced for beginner users, or especially if it's your first time diving in HW Monitor, and limited customization options for a visual representation of system metrics. Now, second on the list, we have Cinebench. Cinebench is a thermal stress testing tool. It's pretty much to push your CPU to its limits to see where your CPU might be thermal throttling or where it might lack into some performance. Now the pros, it provides a realistic workload for accurate performance counters, and it's quick and straightforward, making it accessible for users at all levels. You can pretty much choose between three types of tests. You have a stability test, you have a thermal throttling test, and you just have a basic benchmarking test. You can also set a custom time limit for your benchmark so that you can choose for how long the thermal test runs. Now the cons is it's got a limited scope because it's especially focused on CPUs. Now the advantage for that is that you can use it on both Intel and AMD CPUs, while other counterparts don't, are more especially vendor specific. Second con is it doesn't detect all thermal issues in some or certain scenarios. Now the third one, we have Revo Uninstaller. It's a surgical tool to remove any leftovers from apps or programs that are sometimes left behind, like for example registry edits that are made by certain apps. Sometimes the conventional way of installing doesn't remove completely changed. Now the pros of Revo Uninstaller is it's got an advanced scanning for complete removal of application traces. It creates a system restore point for added security. It's got a first uninstall option for stubborn applications, you know, those applications that you try to uninstall but they just keep coming back because of some certain leftover from behind. Now the cons is the free version lacks some of the advanced features. For me, the basic or the free version is more than enough, and it requires careful use to avoid the removal of critical programs and files. So the next one on the list we have is Intel Extreme Utility. It merges Cinebench tools with HW Monitor, giving you both a stress testing tool integrated in the Intel Extreme Utility tool, and it gives you a benchmarking tool to look to system metrics like your core clocks, your core temperatures, your package temperatures, and on top of that it gives you a graph preview of all those metrics so you can track them over time and see if you have, for example, some temperature spikes, which I personally found a little bit tricky to track with HW Monitor, because since it does not give you a graph preview, you can't see when and how the temperature, for example, might have been spiking. Then we have ReWASD, otherwise you can just call it ReWASD. Basically this one is a tool that allows you to custom keybind your mouse and keyboard. So most macro tools or most keybind tools are pretty much only limited to a keyboard, but this one gives you the possibility to pretty much map anything you want, record macros. Even gamepads and controllers are supported, so that's one a given, especially that the tool is a paid tool, but I personally paid for it. It's pretty much a bargain for €7 or a couple of $10, I think, that you have to. since for us in Europe, folks, it's in euros. So it's around this, but since I bought the whole suit, there are other tools that you can buy with it. I think it will approximately come around 20 euros, or let's say $18-19 for you for the US folks. Next on the list we have Samsung Magician. Samsung Magician is pretty much a optimization tool for your Samsung SSD. So this counts in external SSDs, NVMe SSDs, and SATA SSDs. So you have a myriad of features like data encryption, a benchmarking tool, an SSD health checkup so you can see if your data integrity is still intact. So this one is pretty awesome with it. Now the only con on this one I would have is that it's only limited to Samsung SSD. So if you have, for example, a Kingston SSD or any other brand, I'm afraid that it might not work. Some advanced features in the application also require a little bit of technical knowledge about how storage works. Otherwise you can just screw up something. So that was it for the tool recommendation guys video. I hope that you guys might have something out of those recommendations that I gave. That was it for me today, and see you in the next one.